Good afternoon, Namjoon.
Yes, sir. So you are the interview technique is improving. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah.
Now listen, Namjoon. For our audience, can you talk a little bit about how you start with video and TVs?
Yeah, it was kind of note lending,
Kind of what?
Note lending, I was doing electronic music, and then then electronic music didn't do too well. One single channel tape never worked for me. I more or less I work a higher degree of heat in the tape, which is impossible. So when I was in Germany, I had a studio in basement and had a bedroom in the second floor, rooming with somebody, boarding house. And I would scream all night to my tape, and then I thought I made a very great tape, and go up 2 a.m. and sleep. Next morning, 11 o'clock, I play back. It's not there, that how this ecstasy is not there, Then you would scream again all night, and so I was repeating, that seesaw game for a long time. It was at 58. So then then actually in 57 piece, I introduced the element of live sound on tape, hoping that would solve that dilemma. But it's still instrumental music, all 1958 and 57. By the way, last year, 89, November 13th. Now this is my first interview in the 90s. Today is January 6th. And then in this, today I am doing a 5th decade of my art service. I am only 58. So I am very pleased because I made that as a cliffhanger, 50s, because the first debut concert was 1959, November 13th. So now 59, 60, 70, 80, today now the 5th decade. Now anyway, so I introduced, then I met John Cage, I think in 1958 in Darmstadt. And then I was really very impressed. It was an earth-shaking moment. And then I introduced a couple of actions to my videotape called Homage à John Cage. And that was a big hit. And Joseph Beuys was among the audience. And then I think it turned him on too, and then we met 2 years later with Beuys. And then so I was kind of famous as a action music, composer, performer. And then in 62 and 61, George Macianas wrote to form Fluxus. And before Macianas, there was a number of people who are doing similar thing, But what George did was he packaged well, under a very interesting name called Fluxus. I hear Fluxus means something different in Lithuanian.
It does?
Yeah. And then, so we did the 62 Fluxus Festival in Wiesbaden, but by then, what happened was in around 1961, I was using my body as instrument, and then you reached, and I was doing only solo, and then you reached a certain limit. There was this combination of action and music, And then, so I was searching something, and that also I was running out of money too, was not making any money, And then you are becoming 30 years old, you are supposed to make a part of your, So, and then my father's business, the brother took over. I then was going down in Korea, so I know the days are numbered and you have to make money. So I decided from financial reason and also some other reason, try to make a music machines. Then I was a little known and my friend painters are doing well, so I thought I might cash on my, kind of notoriety. Yeah? So then that time, very good painter called Kao Goetz, whom I knew, he was publishing. He published the idea of kinetic painting using computer in 1958. It's a kind of very far out essay. So he's also in my same gallery. So I knew him quite well, and people are talking, and when I am in the electronic music studio in Cologne, people are saying, yeah, there can be done in electronic painting. So it was not, my first idea. I was not the first to conceive that idea, in Kao Goetz. And then actually, before Kao Goetz, there is John Whitney was in computer film that is also same thing, Kasodrai art. For some reason, people don't credit them, understand? Because that should start with John Whitney. Then before John Whitney, there is a guy called Lampolsky. You must interview him before he dies. Lampolsky? Yeah, he's at Iowa, and he's kind of still alive, very sad, angry old man. He has been always ignored. 1952 or 3, he made a Kasodrei. He made many interesting patterns on oscilloscope, and he took pictures, and then he put color on, So it was in the Life magazine, New York Times. He was kind of oddity famous in the 50s. And then he was published by a magazine called Leonardo, even now. I urge everybody to go and then curators to discover him. For some reason, anyway, in America, once in the old year, nobody, So, I mean, you could make a trip and interview him, Lampolsky. I can get your address.
Where is he?
Somewhere in Iowa, in the middle of potato. Yeah. So, anyway, so that's so then one day in the early 60s, I just don't remember exact date. I thought, actually, then I wrote a letter I mentioned in my letter to John Cage that I will use one television, in my next happening, which exists in, still John Cage's hand. So that was 59-60 winter, so spring, winter of 59 to early 60. So that is first kind of indication of interest in TV. Anyway, so one morning when I was sleeping late, then I said, oh, maybe why not me, doing video when nobody's doing video, Because Kao Goetz was also not doing just publishing essays, So while he was studying the computer circuit, I bought just TV set and I plunged myself. And then quick success was, then I studied rather well television circuit. Then I found that not only video input, but there is horizontal scanning, vertical scannings. And by then I owned a lot of audio equipment. So I decided to go directly into horizontal and vertical scanning line. Then I got kind of a Quantel very cheaply, immediately, So squeeze zoom and Quantel, so-called digital video effect, I got immediately. So that was actually technical breakthrough. After that, things were very easy, because of I gave up signals, video signal.
Yeah, because I remember seeing a show, I think at the Bonino Gallery.
Yeah.
Very early.
Yeah. That was actually well into 60s.
Was it well into the 60s?
That was 65 and 68 and 60. Both were very, very well publicized.
I remember seeing it. I think the first time I was rather.
Actually, it was a big.
I remember seeing you were a very young fellow then.
I bet you were a baby.
I was very young too, but anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's so.
So Bonino Gallery, after all, even though she didn't sell anything for 10 years, she showed me over 10 years, 5 shows. So I owe her a great favor, yeah. But also I don't have time to visit and pay tribute, but my success will be her vindication, yeah.
Yes. Now, what, in other words, what fascinated you about the video image or the distorted video image?
Actually, was nothing fascinated me. As I said, it was not landing. I had to do something. And that time, avant-garde atmosphere was that the newness is more important than truthness. Newness is more important than beauty, So it was experiment for experiment. So because so many things has been tried since Picasso and Duchamp, etc. So anything which is radically new is worth trying. It's like a scientific approach. So so I had to do something new. I was not making any money, and certainly I'm not doing business. And then so I did it for the newness for the newness. Then, but what really struck me, which George Macianas also told me, is I have a kind of very hot expressionistic, character, Koreans are kind of hot-blooded men who eat a lot of garlic and, hot stuff. So my performance used to be very expressionistic, which I thought is outmoded, but since that was my character, I cannot change my character. But once then I changed to video, there was no way to express my character because it's so much is given, You cannot do everything what you want. You must do whatever available, and you make only one combinations, So it's very intellectual stuff. Then there was no way to express myself. I was confined to become a prisoner of Castle Ray. Then the George Macianas, who is a Lithuanian, he's a very exact IBM, design school kind of, And he said, I really don't like your performance, but he can take my video because it's very cool, near to his taste, you see. So that kind of a cool, non-expressionistic intellectual approach, did fascinate me because I obviously did not know that I had such inclinations, Yeah.
So it's a cool medium in your opinion?
Yeah, on that level, yeah.
Okay, now, in other words, but the point is that, the question I wanted to ask you was, what aesthetically fascinates you about the video image? Or the video
that's a
screen?
Coolness, Yeah.
The coolness?
I mean, also another one is because video, it is very, very hard to make a decent picture, technically speaking, So it was very, very easy to distort them. So it was very easy to get something new by simply scrambling the picture. When you cut off one wire, you get a negative picture, When you cut another wire, then you collapse the picture and become Zen for TV, And then you put one signal to horizontal, it all make a jiggling. So actually, I'm contacted twice by an American patent lawyer, There's a big suit going on from Atari to Nintendo. And Atari want to shake up Nintendo's hold. So Atari is using Mr. Paik as proof that Nintendo's patent has been in the public domain since 1960s. And then we got 2 calls, and they made research on everything what I did, in the way that two-way converted to a two-way system, two-way conversation, two-way electronics. That is what game is all about. It was very, very easy, and I constantly did it, and I published circuit. So anyway, quickly turn the knob, you get radically new picture. You know, that experiment to the experiment. Huh? That was, I think, aesthetic quality which fascinated me, you know, even now.
Even now?
I mean, look, this Whitney's Fin de Siècle, big, you know, wall TV. Yeah? That was, in a way, I don't make art. Art make me, you know. Not art, but new technical possibility which has been developing every year since 60s. Understand? And that defines my next artworks. For instance, I use so-called wall television, you know, digital switching of signal, you know, expanding. Huh? And this computer tape, not computer, but computer switching of this multi-screen. That has been around, I think I saw since 1982 or so. But it was really very, very expensive. You know, one that set, I first time realized in Documenta Kassel, Germany, and we were paying 1,000 mark a day rental fee. That was a break, you know. For 100 days we paid 100,000 mark, Deutsche Mark, yeah. And then I paid $60,000 and Documenta paid 40,000. I mean, you know, mark. Actually, I lost about $40,000 and Documenta, and then that was even one wall TV. Understand? In this time, I used 4 of those. Huh? Then I went to Korea a couple of times during Seoul Olympic, actually twice a year, to the satellite television show, and then with one of the friends who put my TV tower in Korea with 1000 TV, 1003. Who in Korea makes this, you know, multi TV? He said, "Oh, I can make too." He said, "How much?" That he said, "Oh, it's about $70,000." He said, "You know, that I could afford if I own. You know, I can only resell for, you know, disco. Understand?" So I ordered one. Then in the most recent trip, I asked him, "Oh, by the way, can you make 2 or 3? Then he said, "Yeah, it's same price, almost same price." So I said, then I'll make a 4, you know. So it was a casual combination, and I thought I could afford, say, with $80,000, 4 TVs, you know, multi-TV. So from there, that defined my artworks, because availability under my economic, you know.
So in the Whitney, you have how many are there?
We have 16 TV which make one picture. We have 4 of them.
4 of them.
And so we have 64 picture which is controlled by one single computer, you know. Then of course Rebecca Allen, the Los Angeles-based computer artist, contributed very much, because we were putting a lot of things, and, you know, I mean, there's nice nude, you know. But her computer TV with the Kraftwerk was most effective. Huh? So I owe her a great favor, and I must give her tribute and credit. In any video art, as you know, 100 people really work, understand? Yeah, and the idea comes, because it's beyond one man's control, you know.
Yeah. So, well, that's an interesting notion that you know, the technology dictates your format.
Yeah,
so what
yeah.
you're saying in that Whitney piece is, in other words, there was really no prior concept until actually the piece was there.
Yeah, actually, yes, of course, I was constantly renewing, you know. For instance, Rebecca Allen's piece, which is, you know, Kraftwerk computer, you know, via phone. I saw her piece at Pompidou 4 years ago, and I thought, oh, I might I might give her one, you know, there are 7 channels, one of 7 channels, you know, because it was interesting. Then, when I put up 64 screen, and when changing the tape test, what would be best, then her tape stood out as the best, you know, and then Paul Gallin's multiple nude, you know. So in a way, as I said, it's constant experiment. It's better not to have any preconcept on what I'm making, you know. So in a way, I'm like a cook, you know. So you have to have a celery, otherwise you cannot make celery dish, understand? And that's what I get salary or egg don't depend on me, depend on market, electronic market. What is cheap at that moment?
I see. Now, but how does the imagery and the program imagery relate, say, to the tape? How do you choose the imagery that goes on in that installation at the Whitney Museum? How did you choose?
I didn't choose. I just test many tape and I choose what goes well. That this is no preconcept. I just said. Whatever something works well and something does not work. Same thing. Why Mozart make songs like that nobody knows. It happened to be better sounding. It's abstract, very much abstract and concrete together.
Is there the fact that they're very fast-paced? Most of them are very fast-paced. Does that matter in your opinion, or?
Actually, that comes from the practical.
Start again.
That comes from practical working process. When I edit tape, understand?
Yeah.
And then when I look at 4 or 5 times, it gets boring, understand? I cannot proceed to working more if something even bores even the artist himself, understand? Then you have to change. Then after a long trial, there is a certain tape combination in temporals and time sense that although you see 100 times, it does not bore you, understand? Then I did exactly the same in electronic music when I was splicing tape. It's like all night splice tape. You can splice no more than 10 an hour, even you look quickly.
So it's intuitive. So it's intuitive.
Intuitive and very repetition proof. You have to be good even though you watch 10 times, 20 times. Then it becomes necessarily dense, If if something is good for me, generally good to other people, good to me. Say if I watch 10 times, still okay. It's okay to other people, but there is a remarkable consensus when tape become boring, Yeah, and then when I think 2-3 times, I thought, I can get away with it, But that on that moment when I make tape, then I say, around here is no good, but I don't think anybody will notice. And I play, and I even televise it. On that moment when things are bad, class of 50, some would go leave the seat. Understand? They will bustle and talk each other. And then that's why Hollywood can make money, because there's consensus of getting bored, So the Hollywood, of course, many people screen each other, so they have less chance of that boring part getting through. But in artist tape, because one guy makes and he generally without much money, and then he's a little lazy, artists are a little lazy. So they publish as it is. Why it's a video art never really became a public. It's not only video art is profound, but also artists don't rely on consensus of timing, So I try to be conscientious on those, like Hollywood.
Now, what then?
Hollywood is conscientious
what
in some.
What is this that you're looking at? What are you looking at when you?
I want to have perfect timing, Yeah, perfect timing. Yeah. So ecstasy. Ecstasy means Greek. Ecstasy means also ecstasis means in Greek. I don't know Greek or Latin, but coming out of yourself, So you forget yourself, Yeah. So then that kind of perfect moment, And then that is, of course, we make art. Art is imitation of God in our life, So that ecstasis is important. It's not in that you get in frenzy, but in certain perfection.
Another question I have is that when, in fact, you do that, much of, say, the way the people that look at video are sort of accustomed to very fast editing on television. Are you really sort of becoming a victim of a television mentality, or are you dictating a television mentality?
I think I am fairly much faster than any television. I never watch TV because they are so slow. You know, I mean, I really don't watch TV because by the time you watch half an hour show, you could have read 100 pages of books, you know. And the density of information on television is very undense. I mean, MTV is a little different, but MTV came after me.
What is the say? And you can read 100 pages
of a book by in half an hour when I have to sit through half an hour sitcoms.
Yes, but let me ask you a question. If you sit through half an hour of Joon Park, what do you get?
I mean, that's the state of mind of me at that moment. So it was a tribute to John Cage and what my sensitivity of 872 or so, you know. Yeah, so that I'm happy, but the artist express himself. Yeah.
You know, you also have in your work a certain kind of romanticism. I mean, I sort of get a sense of a certain kind of a romanticism, a flavor of a longing for the past. You know, I mean, in the pieces that you've made, in particular the dead piece at the Sullivan Gallery, the clock piece, and the old television that have
antique, yeah,
and so forth.
Yeah.
It's a very romantic notion that you sort of seem to be.
Yes, at Solomon. Yeah.
Can you talk about that and how that relates to?
Yeah, I always liked antique, and then I always liked antique. You know, antique was even I was a student. I was kind of looking at antique, you know, shops, and then. When I was living in Kamakura, Japan, I more or less visited 50 temples there, you know, and then the video or time is always feedback. You know, feedback is a very important word for, you know, everybody liked feedbacks, you know, and that is, feedback is confirming or defining where you are by time loops. Like radar. Radar is a feedback, okay? Feedback, the word was first patented by, I think, a guy called Mr. Armstrong in 1913. It is make something stronger by feeding back, you know? First heterodyne radios they used. And then since then feedback become like cliche word, but this is still feedback that is two-way. Feedback into the future is called the radar, you know. You put signal and come back. Then you define where you are, where the enemy plane are. That feedback is radar. Feedback into the past, you throw away your consciousness in the past tense, coming back is called nostalgia or history, you know. So when you work seriously on video medium, thinking about the past become very not necessary step, because that's how you define the history. And then by working on the video, I am getting more and more fascinated by what human beings were like before the invention of a writing system and before the invention of fire, you know. So the more, because there are two kinds of information system. One is information system is gravity. One is information system without gravity. With gravity is what you write, heavy books, heavy paintings, heavy sculptures. However, information without gravity is electronic medium, videotape, and then satellite, and then your memories. And memory in gestures. So even though we have great integration of human being, but dancing style and music styles are very different from people to people, you know. Hungarians different from Czechs, Czechs different from Germans, radically. That means they are carrying the gene of memory of gesture and time and then colorization and intervals and almost 100,000 years. Understand that cut? So when we study DNA, you know, then those information structure, that is weightless information structure before the invention of writing become very relevant, you know. So the more I do is video, I think more about New Stone Age. So it's logical that I use Soho Antiques, which is only 200 years old, you know, which I can afford. Yeah.
I see. That's an interesting point. Okay, now let me ask you, when it comes to, say, is there a relationship between your work and sculpture? In other words, the people have made an allusion, have alluded to the fact that your work is like a animated kind of sculpture, or is it,
yeah, that is that's a fact. First time I thought somebody said I'm a sculptor is, I think, Time magazine. Like non-generic and electronic sculpture, you know. But the video sculpture word is first made by Shigeko, you know, in 1975. You know, nobody used video. I always avoided video sculpture, you know, because I don't want to be a sculptor, you know. Also, I made a robot. It's a robot and not sculpture. However, since art historians has no way to express anything three-dimensional besides saying sculpture, you know, they tend to now apply the word sculpture, you know. But like a monumental Michelangelo sense of struggling with time and space is not my character, you know. Yeah.
Interesting point. Okay. Also, I've noticed that in the last few years you have made paintings.
Yeah,
and you've incorporated video screens into paintings.
Yeah.
Can you talk about this?
That also is
yeah. Stop there.
Huh? Say? That actually I owe to Marianne Heske of Norway. She's a lovely Norwegian painter lady who will have a show at the Clock Tower January 18th. Hope you come, you know, Clock Tower for 3 months. And she dragged me from French, you know, Paris hotel and to brought her show, you know. I was very late and tired, and then she was showing the canvas, which she made from inkjet, you know, Panasonic factories in London. So that she was a video artist, and then she applied her video image to canvas, you know, and she was enthusiastic, saying, yeah, how great this technique was. And I was not that convinced, you know. I mean, I liked her work, but I didn't think it was my thing, you see. Yet I was groping way to make cash and carry art, understand? Yeah. So, but I didn't think it was my job. Until I knew there was laser transfer of the image. I knew that was very expensive. I did one in Tokyo, and each single frame cost like $500. I avoid expensive means, and then my old friend Abe, Shuya Abe in Tokyo, who did the video synthesizer, he said, en passant, you know, oh my God, I'm working for the laser transfer, you know, image to video screen to color slides. So, oh, that's good. Then I think, I am groping to the photograph that time, you know. So he did it very cheaply for me on an experimental base. So I had, then my Holy Solomon show was coming, like in 1986. And I did need some large work. So I asked Abe to search in Japan to make that, blow up the canvas. And so I blew up the canvas. It was still not very good, you know. And then, so it took about 3 years to find my solution, you know. And so actually I owe that to Marianne Heske of Norway that I got into this art, you know. Before that, my painting was more conceptual, you know. Yeah, a small scale. Yeah.
Can you talk about the bed and the TVs?
Yeah, bed and TV is at actually I just by chance I was looking Likan Antique and I saw marvelous Chinese bed, and then I thought it would be very nice to put Buddha in it, you know, just good stage, you know, and it did work very well, you know.
Yeah. And and what about the what did you catch in the cage piece?
Yeah, that cage in cage was fun. Who made the first pan of cage in cage is Walter de Maria. You know, in 1961 or 2, he made very nice cage with wooden cages, portrait of John Cage or something like cage, because many people are just prisoner of John Cage. Understand? So I must give him credit for the first made physical cage. You know. Then also when I was in Soho, there's now so many antique shops, more antiques and galleries in ground. Then I saw in French antique nice cage. I thought, oh, that I'll put John Cage in. You know. So then it worked very well. You know, actually then it was a Minneapolis friend of mine, Bill. He put together a cage painting and cage 3. Then it really hit well, you know.
What about the piece that where you have a television camera trained on a monitor and a pendulum swing?
Oh yeah, this is feedback, and that actually idea was very old, you know, easily early 80s, or even 79. I first, Shigeko had one mention at Zurich Kunsthaus, so I went with her to Zurich and I found a beautiful antique clock, and it was about 2,000 Swiss francs, which is quite expensive, but I had to have it, you know. So since then, I think that pendulum, Swiss clock pendulum, inspired me, you know, to make that, you know, and then it takes time to really get camera and everything costs money, you know. So since only 3 years, I am kind of start making a little money, you know. So I was able to realize those things. Yeah.
There seems to be like almost there seems to be almost a Joon Park performance in that piece, as well as the large clock piece. You know, the large.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about.
Yeah.
There seems to be almost a performance by Joon Park where Joon Park is not performing.
Oh yeah, good. Thank you for your compliment. Good.
I mean, do you understand what I'm saying? In other words, the piece in itself is performing by itself.
Yeah. It's liveliness. You know, I think being live seems to be important to me. Television, first stage of television was live. Understand? And then the immediateness was quite important, but television moved more and more to canned TV. So, but recently, a big brochure on NET listed my 3 live global television show as NET's major, achievement. So, although I lost exactly $800,000 in 3, my money, personal money, no grant. I am happy that I did, 3, and that was televised, in the Soviet Union live and in China later,
So live TV is very important for you?
Yeah, that liveness, immediate talking each other, this certain atmosphere, invisible thread spinning among people. I think that communication, yeah.
There is, there was interesting, I saw you, Dorothy Goldine's show.
Yeah, very nice.
There was one piece there which is particularly captivating, a wonderful video of it. And that was a series of monitors inside of a very elaborate frame, and the imagery was...
Painting.
Can you talk about that piece?
Yeah, first I made that in Brandeis University, 69 to 70, with Russell Corner. That's the first museum show devoted to video, what's it called? Russell Corner's, Brandeis show. Then I asked him to bring a really baroque frame, and then I had one single monitor showing Japanese TV commercial after TV commercial, and then nobody really understands the meaning, television canvas is, kind of conceptual discourse. But they said there's one guy who was watching and laughing like mad. So the idea was dormant for 20 years, and then at some point we thought we made a pun on television as painting. So we first created a very elaborate, frame, like frame really was like $1,000 of frames in handcraft, a guy in Scott, Solway Garrett did it. Then we made accordingly, we painted the, television screen on the assumption of it is painting, and then Paul Garin, he's a great computer genius, he, helped me as always, and so I always had very good people working, and then like Shuya Abe and Paul Garin, and then, the Marianne Haskell, Rebecca Allen, so I must give them good credit, and then, I try to help them too,
You are a generous man.
Not generous, I am,
A just man.
they are giving me a tiger, I give them a cat.
Good. Now listen, there's another question. Do you try to say, all right, one more question. Let me
Yes,
one more question.
yes.
Now, is there in your work, is there something sort of tongue-in-cheek about the work that you do? Is there are you playing on joke on the art world, or on art, or on the people per se that use video or that are used to television? In other words, I get a sense that looking at your work, that you sort of turn television sort of inside out and twist it around, almost as if to scramble people's minds with the fast kind of editing that you do and the fast kind of imagery that you project. You know what I'm saying? Almost as if to say, here I am, but I'm not here.
Yeah, tongue-in-cheek is a very good expression. I love that expression. That's called mischievous, mentality. I like it. Because I'm the last kid, of my family, you see, so I am kind of spoiled. And then I started, I think, maybe at 7th and 8th grade, I may even start thinking, I didn't know, but I was not dumb, understand? Because it seemed that I was kind of hated by a couple of Korean teachers, especially, Korean language teachers, who read Korean literatures. And those guys are very often old-fashioned Confucius, And we kind of laughed at Confucius' mind, And one of the guys, seems that he is very insulted when teachers told me, when they were serious, I was kind of laughing at them, openly. So this guy did beat me, one day. I didn't know why I was being beaten, because he said I was insulting him. So most like he was so dull that I was thinking something else, and then I was enjoying myself thinking something else what I would do after school, Or I was laughing at what he was teaching, and now he was saying. So I think we like to see what kind of contradiction or, laughable inconsequence exists in the world, even, when big corporation like Campo, now you read in the New York Times, the Campo company buying Bloomingdale, then because that whole Campo fell apart, this kind of thing. Yeah, this world is full of this, how Ceausescu was really dumb, not only brutal but dumb, And so those things, facade of security, yet it is nothing there, understand? So, of course, art world have that dumbness, it's idiosyncrasies. And then I see idiosyncrasy or even positive weakness in the famous art critics, or, So those things always make me laugh, So I'm always against the mainstream,
So you're laughing with your work and through your work.
Yeah, mainstream always is so dumb, Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
anything
good.
Else? Well, I think it's been an very nice interview.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you love television?
Really, the television never interested me. Yeah.
Do you love video?
It paid my living better than anything else. Easy way to pay rent. Yeah.
And what do you, when I work with video and television, it has to me like a materiality or a substance, even though it might be the smell of a cathode ray tube or the, it has the wire smell a certain kind of way, and what I'm trying to say is, how do you love it? Do you love it like that, or what? How do you feel about it?
If there is smell, when you open back of a television set of 1950s or 49, all the dust accumulated for 40 years, that has certain smell. And then you put that on, then it sparks, understand? And spark makes certain smell. That's the only smell I think of, And then we discovered my another assistant, John McKevas, discovered in China, near Chinatown, a hardware store, identical TV set of 1949, this big, 13 pieces, all this door. And some of them are still in the carton, original card box. And we are showing that in the clock tower, with a certain identical TV sets, almost identical TV set. And then, of course, factory, which never exists anymore. And I don't know what we put in, but Sylvia show, yeah.
Okay, Namjoon, thank you so much. Anything you want to say?
Yeah, so there's that show is coming in January 18th is a four-man show with three young people who gave me idea, One is Paul Garin, who constantly outwitted me in computer application. He's about easily 20 times faster than me, in computer. That means 20 times better, Computer's time is money. You do 20 times faster, you create better works. Another is Marian Heske, who gave me how to paint. And then Betsy Connors, who gave me idea to use toy models so it can be compact and sell, understand? So all three people helped me in commercialization of video as an art object. And then, as you know, this so-called free market is not anymore taboo. It's now holy word. 20 years ago, we were all socialist, and free market, you are not supposed to say about free market intellectually or disdained about market, Now that becomes a golden cow, and then I have to thank these three artists who helped me to market, quotation, my video work,
What about, you had a piece in the Golden Gallery called Bogey and Boy.
Bogey and Boys, yeah, that is my search for this any clue to do. Both Bogey and Boys has, they are very photogenic people. One is high art, one is low art, entertainment world. Yet they have many things common, They are tough guys, and then intellectual guys. And what I found that they have similar kind of inward-looking eyes, And they all has a hat, same kind of Stetson hat. Then I found out later that the Bogart name is a very common name in Flemish, and found that his father was a Dutch surgeon living in New York, son of a surgeon. Why he has certain kind of allure, And surgeon is very tough business. You cut up every day. And then I always knew that Boyce was not really typical German, but is a Flemish guy. He's born in Dutch border. He's really Flemish. All his manners is Dutch, and always Dutch people understood him and bought his work before Germans. So I thought both actually are Flemish, you know, and I like Flemish people very much. So I found the connection of both Flemish artists, which they didn't even know about, you know. I had to teach Flemish people, actually, Bogart is Flemish. They did not know that they were just South American, you know. So we made a Bogie and Boys series, you know, and then that somehow went very well because two guys the same characters, you know. They have Robin Hood character, you know, they identify with losers, you know, and then rob the rich, you know. And
what fascinated you about boys? You know, I noticed that in the Solomon Gallery there's a painting of a hat.
Yeah.
That includes a hat and a video of boys. What fascinates you about that man?
no, actually, he really, if I may say, I was known to public before he was known to the public, you know. And then he kind of addressed me in 1961, you know, or Mr. Paik, you know. So it was a first stranger who knew my name, and I didn't know his name. Yeah. So we talked a little, quite long, and then actually I'm writing a book with him. Then I lost his track, and he was not well known then. I couldn't find him. I thought he was a very interesting, intensive man. Also, I liked his image of losers, you know. Yeah. So I looked for him for 2 years, and he turned up again, you know, in '62. Then he became already a professor, you know, and then so we became very good friends since then. And then at some point he became, you know, very, you know, I predicted in 1966 when he hasn't sold any work, I said, oh, you will be the next millionaire. And it was many witnesses in the party. I saw the big. Then next year he became a millionaire, just 1 year, you know. And then what also I liked him is that around 70s he was 100 times more prestige than me, you know. And then in financial term and social term. But he didn't become arrogant at all. He was always same, you know, to me. That was not easy. That is not easy because I know in many cases that didn't happen, you know. Also even I'm becoming very busy, then all the friends I just don't call, or when I meet in the street, I was, you know, really don't stop, took long, and I think I'll give impression that, you know, I became arrogant. But in case of boys, he was very constant. So I think he's a very genuine man, no? Yeah.
Okay, well, listen, anything else you would like to say?
No, I think it's just right. Just right, yeah.
Well, thank you very much, and I look forward to that show at the Clock Tower.
Yeah, good. So.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.